Welcome back to the series of Gym Leader Challenge, where we face off types of Pokemon against each other. In this format, it's singleton, so there's only one of each card in the deck. It is a single type, so it will be fire, grass, as a gym leader would. There's no V Pokemon, no rule boxes, so it is a very different and interesting format, popularized by Tricky Gym Andrew Mahone. So head over to his channel or his website to find out more. But let's get into the second matchup. We've got Psychic versus Grass. This is what I mean. We get to see cards we wouldn't normally see. I've never seen this Celebi or Dedenne played. So Celebi is going to attach for turn there. They've also got an ability which lets them search the top of the deck for some goodies as well. We're going to see a level ball played down early on though, and that's going to search out some more basic Pokemon for the bench. Obviously, we don't want to see a donk. This is a best of one series, so they really need to go for it every game. Just searching through the deck, seeing what we've got here. Just to go through some of the Pokemon on the grass side, we've got stuff like Vileplume, which is item lock. Forest of the Giant Plants isn't available in this format. It is a ban card. There is a very small ban list. Again, if you do want to see that, head over to his website, check it out. So it can't get set up in a single turn anymore, which is always good. But we do see the Oddish go down there, so it is going to be the item lock come in. Celebi is going to use the ability there and search out some goodies. See if they find anything. So I did see a Pokemon. So I think it is energy it searches for anyway. So it is just going to be a pass to the Psychic player here. We're going to see a heavy ball played down. They're going to get to check their prizes. Find a basic Pokemon and put it into their hand if there is one. Doesn't look like there is though, which is surprising with the amount of Pokemon in this deck. This deck is based around Nidoqueen, so evolving that Nidoqueen early on and then grabbing evolution Pokemon to evolve up others as you go. Its ability letting you search out Pokemon, which in this kind of format is, there's so much good you can do with that. It's just an insane ability and great for deck building. We do see a Gengar go, okay, that's being discarded with Quick Ball. And we're going to see a Zubat placed onto the bench. Now this Gengar can jump from the bench or jump onto the bench from the discard pile, which will be a nice setup here. It's a way to cheat a stage 2 into play very quickly, and like I say, in this format can absolutely change games. So we are going to see Gengar jump straight onto the bench here. It obviously gets set up for 1 energy as well. The problem here is it does damage per their bench Pokemon, which they don't have many at the moment. It also does damage itself. But I think we are going to see attachment for turn there. There's not really much else to do, so it is just a pass back. Like I say, Gym Leader, one thing I do enjoy about it is a slower format than standard. So you are going to get to play your strategies. You're going to get to do what you need to do, which I think is good. I just really enjoy playing it. You always get a full game out of it. It never feels like, with stuff like weakness, it can be, some matchups can be awkward, but like in, I don't know if Psychic's a great example, but stuff like Ground, where you can have 3 different weaknesses. You can have Water, Grass, Psychic. You can mix in different Pokemon to cover those weaknesses. So it is still doable against your weakness. So it is an attach onto the Gloom here. And then we're going to see an escape board onto the Celebi, which does mean it can retreat for free at this point. It can also retreat during paralyzation or anything else. Any other special effects or sleep or stuff like that, which is a super powerful retreat. We don't really see anything like that anymore. We've got stuff like Air Balloon, but I mean, I prefer a skateboard, I prefer Floatstone. We just had better options before. Maybe they were too strong, which is why we don't see them. That's going to be an attach onto Dedenne, retreat into Gengar, and it's going to be some instant pressure from the Psychic player here. Just attacking as soon as possible, making the grass have an answer. Like I say, it's not going to do a ton of damage really. It's 20, and yeah, it's going to take a while to poke down Celebi. But the pressure is on now. Grass needs an answer, they need some Pokemon, they need some attackers themselves. Or Psychic could run away with this one. So we're going to see the second attach onto Gloom here. And then we're going to hit Celebi's ability again. It doesn't look like we've found anything this time, which is unfortunate. Just going to shuffle back up here and see where we can go with this. Obviously, we can see Gloom can attack this turn, which is going to be devastating because knowing Gloom, it's going to do some kind of poison or burn or paralyzation or something. Okay, so it's confusion. So Gengar could be hitting himself here, or we're going to have to see a retreat on the Psychic side. Doesn't look like many options. I do see a boss in hand, an Ultra Ball, and it looks like a Malamar. I want to say you Ultra Ball here. Also, it's Poison and Confused. So that is going to be very difficult. So it's draw for turn, and there is a way to get some basic Pokemon here, or if not, an energy. I don't think we really need the energy at the moment, so I would expect to see a Pokemon here. Inkay would make sense as we've got Malamar to start accelerating energy, even though we don't really have many attackers at the moment. So I think Nidoran is probably the shout. We can obviously get into that Nidoqueen, evolve up our Zubat and other things. So it just brings the deck together quickly. And then, like I say, for the following turns, we've got Ultra Ball and other stuff to power up our Pokemon, get them evolved, and get things going here. I don't know whether you want to attack or not here. The problem is you can't retreat because he's just going to confuse. The problem is you can't retreat because... Okay, so we're going for it. And it has gone through. That is going to be damage. 20 damage. It's not really worth it, is it? And we're going to see more damage tick on to Gengar here. The Gloom is about to take down Gengar. We could see the evolve into Vileplume here, which would lock up both players. Obviously, Psychic does need to play the Ultra Ball here, so it would mean it's probably going to hurt the Psychic player a little more. We just see the second attach onto Celebi. So Celebi could be doing 40 damage here. So it is just going to be another attack from Gloom. And Gengar is on the ropes now. It'll be a draw for turn. We still... Okay, so we do see Judge. I would like to see the Ultra Ball here. I think because we haven't gone for Malamar, it makes sense going for Nidorina or some backup attacker here. I think there is a Mewtwo in deck, which would be good. But it is just going to be the evolve. And then we're going to see... I think we're going to see Judge here next. I guess shuffling up makes sense anyway. There's no cards to shuffle in from hand, so that makes sense. And it is going to be Judge, the final card in hand. There's so many cards in Grass's hand. That can't feel good. It never feels good. Especially because there's only... Well, there's 0 cards in Psychic's hand. And that is a much better looking hand. We've got energy to play. I think that's a Battle Compressor. A little damage sleeve there on it. Might have to switch that one out. Yeah, so that is... So there's the Wobbuffet, which basically turns off abilities, which is always good in this form. Always good in any format, honestly. Abilities are so powerful. Where do you guys sort of lie on that? I think... Because some people do get upset when their abilities are turned off. I've seen a lot of backlash from Galarian and Weezing recently from one of the tournaments. I think it was Knoxville. Either way, a lot of people were angry because it was shutting stuff down, but it doesn't shut down yourself, only your opponent. I feel like that's fair. I think ability lock should be for both players, stuff like Klefki. But I think it's good for the game. If people are just trying to streamline decks, if they are trying to cut everything they can and focus on abilities to enhance their gameplay, there should be a counter to that. If you are putting all your eggs in one basket, there should be a way to knock that basket out of your hand and make you think, make you work around it. If you haven't put the cards in your deck to work around it, I think that's fair. I think it's good for the game. I think it's healthy for the game. That tangent aside, we're going to see Wobbuffet with an energy on there and Gengar attack to knock himself out. That's going to be huge. Going into the Psychic player's turn, that does mean they're going to go down 2 prizes here most likely. And that is devastating. I would have probably just passed there. I don't know if it's worth... It is only 20 damage at the moment, so I don't think it's even worth swinging through. And now they've been knocked out, going into their opponent's turn, offering up more prizes. So this could be... And we do see the Vileplume come into play with the Evo Soda there. That does mean item lock is going to be in effect for both players here, so no more items will be played. There's going to be the attachment there, so Vileplume can actually attack, and we're going to see a Marnie. This is rough. There wasn't many players left on the Psychic many cards left in the hand of the Psychic player, but shuffling hands is always good. You never know what you're going to get to be able to do here, so... And it is just going to be a knockout into the Zubat. 2 prizes up for Grass now. it's going to be difficult to come back here. We do see Wobbuffet into the active, which is going to shut off that ability from Vileplume. The items will be able to be played here. I don't think I see any items in the Psychic player's hand. Okay, so we do see Evo Incense. Yeah, just pointing out the ability there, which is going to turn off Vileplumes. We've also seen Old Cemetery hit the field, so any energy attached now is going to damage the grass Pokemon. And we do see Nidoqueen now onto the bench, which is going to let us search out more Pokemon. And this is where the Psychic player could run away with this, or at least get back into this one, as it's not looking too good right now. But even so, there's not much set up on the grass side. Vileplume and Celebi aren't great attackers, so we could quickly see things switch around here. We're going to see the Inkay go onto the bench, so there's going to be some search out for recovery here to get that Malamar back from the discard at some point. Maybe in hand, not sure what that card is. I think it's Ace Trainer, so that's not going to be any use for a little while yet. Although, yeah, once our next prize comes down, grass player is going to be in a tough spot. So we are going to see Cynthia's Ambition drawing up to 8 here from the knockout. So yeah, things may look like they're in grass's favor, but this could turn very quickly here. We do see more energy. We've seen there it is, the Ordinary Rod. So we're going to get the Zubat and energy and Malamar back into play. I'd assume keeping an energy in the discard for Malamar would probably make the most sense, and that's what we're going to see here. So they're going to get shuffled back in, and we are going to see some Malamar Zubat shenanigans later on. So we do see another energy going to Wobbuffet here, and it is going to get to attack. So it does more damage the more damage it takes, so it's not really going to do a ton now. And we are going to see it go back to the grass player. Doesn't look like there's much going on in the hand here. So we're going to see now, obviously, Vileplume no longer has an ability. We are going to see items come down here. Looking for something off this Great Ball. Ideally another basic Pokemon, because like I say, they haven't got much set up here. And they probably just take anything they can find. We're going to see Shaman, was that? Yeah, we're going to see Shaman put down onto the bench. Again, not the best attacker. The attackers in this deck are really shying away. There is a few more we hopefully see here, but really does depend. A lot of this deck is based around control. Obviously with Vileplume, obviously we've got stuff like Confusion, we've got things like Butterfree, which does a ton of different effects. It's just sort of chipping away at your opponent whilst restricting what they can do. We are going to see Gloria here for some basic Pokemon, I would expect. Maybe Energy, I'm not sure. I think at this point it's got to be basic Pokemon. We want to see something like a Cherim in play eventually to speed that energy up. And potentially a Caterpie would be good here. Although I think Grass is pointing to their prizes saying it's in there. Or something's definitely in the prizes anyway, whatever they were looking for. So we are going to see a Petilil. Just taking a look at hand here to see what they've got to work with. We did see a Metapod in hand, so I think the Caterpie would be put into play if they had it. So it must be the Caterpie that's in there. Just going to shuffle through, double check. Always worth looking through whenever you get to check your deck. See what's in your prizes, what you're missing, what you've got to work with. Attacker wise, there is a Genesect in the deck which can snipe the bench, which could be good here before the Inkay gets set up, or probably just put some work on the Dedenne because it can't evolve, or slowly work down the Nidoqueen. There's a ton of options with stuff like Genesect, and we are going to see the Genesect grabbed here, which I think makes some sense. The problem is a lot of energies on Celebi now, which, yeah, it's just a really bad attacker. Obviously, if you don't get much set up early on, though, you don't have too many choices. So I do understand why that energy was dropped there, just so you've got options to retreat or put at least some damage down. But I think it's just going to be an attack here from the Vileplume, and then probably a follow-up knockout from Wobbuffet in that case. Just searching through hand. We have got Aromatic Energy, I think that was. Don't know where that's going to go or if it's any use in this matchup, honestly. I don't think there's many conditions on the Psychic player's side. There's mainly stuff working with, again, more of a control deck with shutting off abilities and items and things. So we are going to see the attack attach onto Celebi and attack into Wobbuffet here. And it's going to be a draw for the opponent. We're going to see a level ball here searching out I would guess a Zubat that's been shuffled in, or yeah, so Zubat makes sense. It's a good way to drop damage. Okay, so Nidoqueen doesn't actually work here because of Wobbuffet. So hopefully that they catch that here. That's awkward because that is going to have an impact on the game. We are going to see 3 cards here drawn off one of the hop variants. I'm not sure which one that is. And then potentially another energy put into play here. So it's going to be the Muscle Band onto Wobbuffet, which does mean that is enough for knockout now. And we're going to see a knockout into Vileplume. And we're going to see Celebi come up. Celebi can retreat easy, so that makes sense here. Just a good pivot card. We're going to see the evolve into Lilligant. Let's see something played here. Okay, so Vespiquen, one of my favorite cards of the older generation, older formats. Obviously with that, is it Bee's Revenge? Queen's Revenge? I can't remember what it's called. It's something like that. Vengeance. We all know the attack. It's going to do more damage for the Pokemon that you have in your discard pile. So if we can save that till last, we can take some easy knockouts there. Which is what I'm assuming is going to be the thought behind this deck. Now, we do see Bruno plays, so they get to shuffle their hand in and draw a ton of cards because they've just been knocked out. Always good in these types of decks where there's a ton of knockouts. Stuff like Teammates, stuff like Bruno. Always valuable cards. We're going to see a new hand drawn here. I am hoping they go back and remove the Malamar and energy. I guess they could have attached for turn with Zubat. It still needs to be resolved. And hopefully we don't see it impact the match too much. We're going to see Max Elixir to get some energy onto the bench and speed things up here. There's an energy and it's going to go... I don't think you need to set up Vespiquen just yet. I think maybe something... Okay, so it is going to go onto the Vespiquen. It still hits for a ton of damage. We've already got the 3 from Vileplume in there. We've got... Have we got other Pokemon in there? That's the first prize. So unless they've been discarded, there won't be many more in there. We do see a Quick Ball, which could get rid of some Pokemon here. But again, it's not really going to be hitting for enough damage. I think maybe taking the knockout with Celebi here and sort of sacrificing it is the idea. Which makes a lot of sense. It gets Wobbuffet out of the active. It also gives you abilities back if you need it. You probably will with the Sherim and other things. So makes a lot of sense for Gracia. Thankfully, now the item lock's gone, they could just Malamar this turn. It does mean there's an extra energy in play. It has turned off free retreat on Zubat, to be fair, so... We're going to see Dedenne sacrificed here into the active. And it's a draw for turn. So this turn they could get Malamar and get that energy. So it's not the end of the world. So we're going to see a scoop up net onto Dedenne. Obviously seeing something they like in hand. And it's going to be Zubat, and we're just going to see a Marnie here. Both players shuffling their hand. Ras doing it begrudgingly. Maybe some good cards in there. Hoping they don't have to shuffle it in, but there it is. It goes to the bottom. And 4 new cards for that side. 5 for Psychic. So it is going to be the search from the Nidoqueen there to get Golbat. And we're going to drop some damage onto Celebi. And maybe take a knockout here. We are going to see some power-ups onto Nidoqueen here. Just so there's an attacker. Obviously, we can jump the Gengar back, which I think might have been forgotten, because that's probably... Now their bench is full, it would have definitely been worth doing that. We've obviously been struggling with attackers on the Psychic side. But I think that's just yeah, they've just forgotten that's in there, honestly. And it's easy enough to do with so much to track, especially in this format. A lot going on. We're just going to shuffle the bench over. What is that coming down? There's a Duskull. So we are going to see Dusknoir, which lets you move around damage. We're going to see some spread here from Golbat. Again, what this deck's designed to do. Drop damage everywhere, spread it, and then move it with Dusknoir. So this could be really interesting. We're going to see 10 damage to everything. And that is going to be the knockout onto Celebi there. We get the old cemetery bumped, and it's now Turffield Stadium. So we are going to see Vespiquen searched out. Potentially for a knockout here. It does stop Golbat spreading all of that damage. I think there's only 4 in the discard, so that's not going to be enough damage here. However, it does have free retreat, so it doesn't really matter. It can get out of the active. It's just nothing else is really set up. So we could potentially see that energy placed somewhere else. Just adding up the Pokemon here in the discard. Like I say, I think it's 4. A little pause from the grass player as they try and work stuff out. We do see a catcher here. It is unfortunately a Tails. Hoping to maybe strand something in the active, maybe the Malamar, maybe the Duskull. It doesn't look like it's going in the favor of the grass player here so far. They did get an early start and they still are leading on prizes. But I don't know, stuff just isn't clicking here. We're going to see 2 energy from the Sonya. Which does mean if they can get Sherm in play, there's going to be some big turns here where they can just drop a ton of energy and get things going. But at the moment, I'm not really seeing that happening. We are going to get the deck shuffled up here and we're going to see what happens for turn. It could just be a retreat and pass here. So it is the retreat here from Vespiquen. And we're going to see Lilligant come into the active. All right, so it has got a free attack here, so it doesn't need energy. And I think that's just going to accelerate some more energy. That's actually not a terrible turn for the grass player here. They get more energy. I don't think they can be knocked out, but unfortunately the Golbat is going to continue to swoop across. Going to fill up on damage here. We could potentially see the Nidoqueen search out a Crobat if it's in the deck. And we are going to see Nidoqueen here to see what it can grab. So that's the Dusclops. Okay, so they're going full in on the damage spread knockout with Dusknoir, which I think is also another good route. I'd probably go Crobat. Maybe should have gone Crobat. I don't know. It's so difficult to say. We're going to see an attachment under Dene, who, if your opponent has 1 prize left, does 60 more damage. So they're doing like 80 for 1 energy on a basic, which is pretty good. And we are just going to see the damage tick up here. So everyone now, yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's 90 damage on the field, maybe 100, depending what's on that Lilligant there. It's a little difficult to see that dice. I have ordered different dice for the upcoming matches, so it'll make it a little easier on you guys and on me commentating this afterwards. So I think we're just going to see that Genesect is set up now, so it could start potentially doing some things. We are going to see a switch from the... We're going to see a Turffield Stadium first. Get the Sherm in play to accelerate some energy. And then we're going to see a switch played on to, yeah, Genesect to come into the active. Now, the option here is to take a knockout on the active or start sniping the bench. They could potentially knock out the Gengar. The only problem is it will come back. I think you need to get rid of Golbat at this point because there's so much damage being spread. It's going to be an easy 2-turn prize at some point. For the Psychic player. Okay, so I think Sherm accelerated energy there and they've just taken the switch back, which I think makes more sense, to be honest. There could be some stuff that gets sort of stranded. So it is going to go 50 onto Dusclops. And I think it is, yeah, I think Grass has realized that. There's still some chatter. But it is just going to be a skill dive onto the Golbat there, it looks like. And we are going to see the Dusknoir come into play from the Psychic player there via the, again, Nidoqueen just searching out Pokemon. It's just so powerful. Now, the Genesect could have Technoblast there for a 120, but I think they're just trying... I don't think they want to because they can't attack the following turn then. But they do... I think they still have the switch or could potentially... But it's just going to be another swoop across. And at this point, I think it's gone too many turns. So that's 60, 120. It's 150 damage. So that is close to 2 knockouts in a single turn. This is going to... It's going to come down to the wire of this game. It's a lot closer than it looks. Just look at all that damage on the grass player. I think potentially we should have seen a knockout there onto the Golbat just so they have to promote someone else in attack. I don't think anything else could knock out the Genesect. Gengar could put 80. Yeah, it's difficult. I think you just have to knock out the Golbat there and this could potentially change things. Is that a Marnie we're seeing played? We have seen a discard. No, so it's not the Marnie being played, it's the Marnie being retrieved via Cynthia and Caitlin. And obviously a card discarded there. I think we might see that card switch though, because even though the Caterpies in the prizes, Metapod and Butterfree is a way to win this quickly. Obviously, if you don't know, They can evolve in the turn they go down. So there's plenty they can do there. And we are going to see a double colorless come down there on the Sherem. We are going to see 50 onto Nidoqueen. Yeah, onto the Golbat makes most sense. Grass now just needing 2 prizes. The damage has already stacked up. So this is going to come into play massively here. We're going to see Nidoqueen go into the active, which I think does more damage for evolution Pokemon in play, which at this point is, yeah, there's a lot of those. So it's going to be a ton of damage from Nidoqueen here. And we are going to see Dusknoir move some stuff around. Just going to be where the damage goes. If we can see a 3-turn prize swing here, I'll say, okay, so it's a double KO, and it is also Nidoqueen to attack here. That is absolutely devastating. It's 3-2 now, so it is much closer. We do need to see an attach here, so we're going to see Avery for 3 cards. Obviously, you didn't want to play that before, because you could see them discard the stuff with damage on. I think we're just going to see a search for a Pokemon here. There's not many cards left in either player's deck, so we're going to see Mew go down, which I think just gives you some options later on. If you need to search out certain trainers, certain item cards. The Crobat, unfortunately, is no use anymore. Okay, so we're going to see Dimension Valley to make that attack cheaper. We don't need to see an attachment this turn. I think we're just going to see a big swing into Genesect for the knockout, and it is now 2 prizes to 2. Obviously, Vespiquen is ideal in this situation. We do see a Clara in hand. They might have taken the Caterpie from the prize, honestly, and could potentially set up a Butterfree here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There'll be 9 Pokemon in total. So it isn't enough to knock out Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen is such a tanky Pokemon that it's going to be really difficult to deal with. It's going to be tough here. I think losing the Sherem has given or has lost them a lot of their explosive power. We are going to see a Marnie here. Hopefully just to put Psychic in some trouble. Maybe lose some cards I need. And maybe find some on the side of grass. We do see a rare candy. So potentially could see a Butterfree here. We're going to see the Galarian Heavy Ball. So if they haven't got Caterpie, this will find it for them. The Heavy Ball is going to go into the prizes, and there is a Caterpie. Like I said, can evolve straight up to Butterfree in 1 turn. So very powerful, very quick to get set up. And I think the Butterfree in this scenario burns, confuses, and poisons or something like that. It does a ton of conditions. So it's, yeah, super useful to take control of these matchups where you might be struggling against those bigger Pokemon. So we do see Caterpie go onto the bench. And we are going to see a Quick Ball away Kricketune. So, or the Cricket, whatever the baby version is. And we're going to see a Sunkern come down. So there is a Sunflora in deck. I can't remember the exact attack, but I do know it's one of the attackers in this deck. I love Sunflora, such a cool Pokemon. And we could potentially see it here. We are just searching through the discard, counting up the Pokemon, seeing what damage we can do. Potentially, if we could have got Butterfree into play then, we could see a massive swing in which the poison and burn and other stuff takes care of Nidoqueen. At this point, Nidoqueen just needs to swing to take the prize lead, and that's what it's going to do. So Vespiquen is now down. 2 prizes to 1. I cannot believe how much this one has swung. This is what I mean about Gym Leader. It goes back and forth. You could have these really good turns which put you in the lead. But then later in the game, it could swing back in your opponent's favor. And we're seeing that here. This is showing Gym Leader at its finest. And it is going to be a tough ask now for the grass player. Ideally, we need to see that Clara we saw shuffled into deck. Get some of those Pokemon back. And they could still set up and win here. There's no damage in play, so Dusknoir is irrelevant. Malamar, they don't really need the energy. Gengar is already damaged. Dedenne could see some impact on the final turn. But there's not much going for Psychic player once this Nidoqueen is knocked out. They are going to need more Pokemon. But they're all about stage 1 and stage 2, so they're going to need a ton of stuff. So we are seeing a count up of energy in the discard here. Okay, so we're going to see a boss onto Dusknoir into the active spot. And considering its retreat cost, which is 3, this is going to be... We're just going to see an energy onto the Caterpie there from Lilligant. We did see Clara in hand though, so we do know there's going to be some plays next turn. Psychic is kind of stuck here. I don't know what they run in their deck. There must be a floatstone or something in there which can retreat the Dust Noir, sorry. But we do need to see that very quickly. We don't want to give Grass any chance here, and that top deck isn't going to help. We could see a research here, maybe attach first, just so maybe in 3 turns, if you're still stuck there are options. And we are going to see a research to dump an entire hand. Clara is gone, a ton of energy is gone. So there is a scoop up here, so we would need to see a heads. And of course it's a tails, so Dust Noir is going to be stuck there in the active, and it is now in Grash's favour again. They've got at least 2 turns before they need to worry. This could be very interesting how this ends. We are going to see a draw, and that is the Ultra Ball, which could search out a Butterfree from deck. You could also grab the Metapod via Clara, so there's a lot that could go on here. So we're going to see Clara search out Metapod, potentially some energy to get the Butterfree attacking as well. And I guess just an extra card so you can discard it with Ultra Ball. Never a bad option. Although I don't think we're going to see it. We're going to see the evolve into Metapod. We're going to see an Ultra Ball for an energy and rare candy. I'm assuming Butterfree's in deck. So there is the Butterfree and there is the evolve. That is going to confuse, burn and poison. Poor old Dust Noir. And now it's stuck in the active. Dust Noir now is on a clock. If the Grass player can line it up so Dust Noir faints going into their turn and then take a knockout on whatever's put up, this game has flipped entirely on its head. We're going to see attachment there to Butterfree, and we're going to see the pass to the Psychic player. I'm so excited to see how this goes. They are still burnt. That's going to be huge going into the other player's turn. That is the second attachment. I don't actually see any other energy in hand though. And we're just going to count up how many cards are left in deck here. So it is going to be an Ace Trainer here. We could have potentially seen that a little later on. I guess they're just trying to deck them out here, draw some extra cards. There is not many cards left on the side of Grass now. It looks like there is only 3 cards left. This is going to come down to the wire. I don't know if we're going to see it via knockout either. I genuinely think we're going to see. So they are still burnt. This damage is ticking up. It's going to be, can Psychic retreat and attack, or maybe deck out Grass, and can Grass knock out that Dust Noir and whatever comes afterwards. It's going to be an interesting finish. We do see the energy in hand for Psychic, so we do know it's going to be potentially... They could even make an attack here. They are confused, but with Dimension Valley it will be slightly easier. Don't think that's the smartest idea. I think we'll just see Nidoqueen come up. And we are going to see Gardenia's Vigor here, drawing more cards. Maybe potentially trying to retreat that Lilligant into an attacker with Butterfree. I think you need to try and wait out for a knockout here. I don't think there's enough cards left in deck. We are going to see a switch here. And potentially, we're going to see Butterfree make an attack. We're going to see the Sunflora played down. The thing here now is the amount of cards in... Oh, we're going to see the energy played as well. So they've got 3 cards, 2 in hand, 1 in deck. If we see a Marnie here, that would also end the game. Maybe Mew to dig someone out. A VS Seeker could work. We could grab Ace Trainer and finish the game that way. I think that's what we're going for here. So there is a VS Seeker in the middle there. Yes, yes, yes. There's only 2 cards left on Psychic as well. We're going to see VS Seeker. I assume searching out. We're going to see an attachment to Mew. VS Seeker. 4 Ace Trainer. There it is. Just scroll by it. Put that into play. Grass is then going to shuffle in and draw 3. Oh no, they would draw 2, so it wouldn't be enough. So we do see Judge here, which is going to shuffle in both hands and draw 4. And then Psychic will pass. It's just a fun game. It is just a laugh here. So there's no hard feelings. And that is how this game ends. Judge in the final moments. A very close game. Psychic going through to face Fire in the second round. We have got a few more for this round. We've got Water, Steel, Normal, Fighting was the other one. You will notice some very cool sleeves in this one as well. Like I say, from Tricky Jim, Andrew Mahone himself. So if you're enjoying this series, make sure you liked. If you've made it to this point, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.